everybody? Welcome to BioS3 Raw TV. So, you guys saw the title of the video. Do you really know what's in your protein powder? Now, I'm not going to say company names, and I'm not going to say whether certain products are good or bad. What I'm going to ask you is whether or not you actually know what's in your protein powder. And we're going to take, let's just back up for a second. The way these companies do it is they keep it right in your face. They hide it right out in the open. The best way to hide anything is directly out in the open, right in your face. People don't notice shit if it's right in your face. Now, we're going to break this down with logic, because logic has been missing for quite some time in a lot of industries, but this industry specifically. So let's say, we'll start out, like we're going to talk about whey protein, obviously, derived from what? Milk, right? So let's say we start out with do a little bit of drawing over here. All right, we got a 8-ounce glass of raw milk, right? BioS3 Raw TV, raw milk. We get an 8-ounce glass of raw milk. Now, every farm you go to for the raw milk, the macros are going to be the same. All the macros are going to be the same. All 3 macros for raw milk are going to be the same. Now, when you go hit the pasteurized stuff after it's no longer raw milk, if you look at the macros from the milk carton to the plastic jugs or whatever the case may be, it actually changes from the raw milk because it's been pasteurized. It changes the macros. Paint changes the nutrients. They add vitamins to it. They start fucking with it, right? They're basically changing something natural and making it processed, right? So now you have 8 ounces of a regular raw milk, 8 ounces of processed milk, or pasteurized, or however you want to say it. 2 different things. They change. And to get those things to try to match up, they start adding vitamins and minerals and stuff to those pasteurized products to try to get them closer to the raw milk, to try to keep them more nutritious, because they wind up destroying a lot of the nutrition. Now, here's the kicker. You would figure, based on this, right, logic dictates when you process something, it kind of denatures it, it changes the structure of it, changes it. So now we have, in the whey protein, we have, let's make a little scoop, right? A little scoop here. All right, so now let's say this is the whey protein scoop, right? Now in this scoop, if it's already been pasteurized, well now they cold filter it, microfilter, they do all these fucking things to it. They basically process this whey protein that they're gonna sell you, right? So now they're taking it to another step further. Now, if you have, let's say, you know, your macros are 25 grams of protein, I've seen as high as 6 grams of carbs and as low as 2 grams of fat, right? Let's say, let's just use that as a standard. We're gonna use just an example, right? This is the standard. Now, if all whey protein is created equally, right? All these macros should be the exact same per scoop, right? So we have 25 plus 6 plus 2, right? 25 plus 8. Now, add these numbers up, and that's what that scoop should come out to be, right? Well, here's the thing. When I go to another brand, these macros will be the same, but the scoop looks like this. Totally different. It's about 3 times the size of this scoop, but the macros are the same. Interesting, right? Or sometimes you get the ones with the smaller scoops, right? Smaller scoops. So this is about half of what this one is, and the macros are the same, right? So I'm like, how the fuck is that possible? What the hell is in these scoops? Every time you open a can of whey protein, the scoop is different from fucking company to company. How can that be possible if you're hitting those macros? Well, now just, again, the macros are not always the same. We're using an example as to why there's such a difference in the scoops when you open the product. It's because the product is not what you think it is. Some of these companies have gotten the carbs down to 2 grams of carbs and 1 gram of fat. In the high end, I've seen 25, 6, and I've seen as high as, fat-wise, I've seen as high as 4 grams of fat for fat. Now, here's the kicker. Carbohydrates, 2 to 6. Where do those other 4 grams of carbohydrates come from? And we've been conditioned that 6. Well, 6 is not that bad, right? Well, if you're on a keto diet, 6 grams of carbs makes a big difference in that diet, right? So you already can't use that product, so you're looking for another product. Why is there such a discrepancy? If you look, they add things which bring this carbohydrate number up, like maltodextrin. Maltodextrin technically shouldn't be in a protein powder, but it shows up in there. And these other different fillers that they put in there to change the texture of it, the mixability, the colors, all this other shit, right? But my question is, there is no standard like this of the protein macros. If you get 5 different brands, you're gonna have 5 different macros on it. Due to the filtration process, due to the transportation of how they move things around, what gets these denatured, there's so many different things that go into it. When is the last time you took the scoop out of your protein, right? You weighed what was in the scoop, right? Took the scoop full of protein, put it on the scale, weighed it, and then looked at your macros to see if the grams added up to what was that. You probably have never done it. I've seen literally these things go from like literally these macros to like a 55-gram scoop. And I'm sitting there going, that's like 10 more grams. Like, what the hell? I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I started to learn more about protein in general. Not protein per se, but whey protein supplements. So a good friend of mine, Steve Reeves, came out with a product, and it was called Reeves Nutrition. I think it was Ultra Whey, they called it. And it mixed up well, it was creamy, it was a good price, and everybody loved it. It was like award-winning taste that actually had. They had people vote on it. It was an award-winning taste. And this product came in these big jugs, like these buckets, and the price was good. So I kind of, went back to Steve and said, hey man, how the hell are you producing this like this? These other companies are charging a 2-pound can fucking like $59 for a 2-pound can. You're selling a 5-pound for like 30 bucks. Like, what the fuck is going on? And that's when he started explaining to me, which I didn't understand, the grades of protein. He said, we go with like a very high grade, which is like 80 to 90% grade concentrate. And I said, yeah, but whey protein isolate is a big thing now. And he's like, right, but what if you got a 30% whey protein isolate, that grade, compared to the 90% concentrate? The 90% concentrate is usually more expensive. He goes, but you wind up paying more for the isolate when it's only 30%. How is that even possible? Because the high grade isolates, those are the ones that are really expensive, but you don't know what's in that product. You have no idea what grade protein is in that product. So as they start to go down more in grades, they keep the price the same. They're increasing their profit margins by giving you a shittier product. And what they do is by adding more shit to these scoops, my personal opinion is the smaller the scoop inside of a protein powder, the less shit you have in it. They start adding things to it. They've added, we heard about the amino spiking that was happening a few years ago. They were just adding amino acids in it to get the protein content up. I mean, there's been shady shit going on, but they're using very low grade proteins and charging the premium price. Now, I'm not saying all companies. There's plenty of companies out there that, they're using high grade proteins. You drink it, you don't have any problems digesting it, and you're good. But then there's stuff like you get at Costco, for instance, right? I've had people come up to me and say, Jerry, I bought this bag at Costco. It was like a fucking 10-pound bag of protein for like $25. I'm like, okay, cool. And I don't say anything. I just let them go, like, okay, cool. And then inevitably within a week's time, when they check in with me, these are clients, they check in with me and they say, man, I don't know what's going on. My digestion is all jacked up. I said, well, how many times do you do those shakes a day? Twice. Twice a day? Cut those shakes out. Boom, lo and behold, the digestion is better. It's fixed. Why? Because the grade that was in that protein, the grade protein that was in that bag from Costco, which is cheap shit to begin with, is like the bottom of the barrel. But you don't know, because they're not saying that. It doesn't say, we'll say like 100% whey protein isolate. You've seen that on the actual, on the labels and stuff. They used to label it like that. I don't know if they still do it anymore, but it's like 100% gold standard whey. That is one way that they advertise it, but they say gold standard. They're not saying 100% whey protein isolate, right? But even if they did, that's a whole other deal. What they're saying is, if you had, let's say, this is the big scoop right here. Let's say, when they say 100% whey protein isolate, right? You're thinking this whole scoop right here is whey isolate. In reality, this right here in the bottom of the scoop, this little bit, that is whey protein isolate. You're like, Jerry, how can that even fucking possible? What they're doing is they're giving you such little amounts of whey protein isolate, but this little amount is 100% pure, right? Or it's 100% isolate. It doesn't even tell you what kind of grade it is. So they're not even putting the amount of what you think in there. They're mixing grades. They'll mix like a low and a high grade together to increase profit margins. Then they fill up the rest of the scoop. And you think, I got 100% pure isolate per scoop. That whole scoop is 100% isolate. It's not. It's about 95% bullshit and 5% pure isolate. But that amount is 100% pure isolate. It's how they word it. It's that truth in advertising where they can manipulate the words that they say to get a reaction out of you. And I remember getting taken for a ride in, this was probably 2010, I think, maybe. I went on vacation with my girlfriend in Minnesota, and when we got there, I don't want to ship my protein and stuff. I was like, I'll just buy some when I get there. So we go to GNC, we walk in, and they had like a sale thing at GNC. I said, cool, things are on sale. I'm only going to be here for a couple of days. I'll get this 2-pound can. I walk up, and it says 100% protein isolate. I was like, interesting. 100% protein isolate. Didn't even re-register the fact that it didn't say whey on it. Cool. Bought the can. It was cheap. It was like 12 bucks or whatever. I'm like, wow, this stuff must be going out of date, whatever. Cool. Bring it back home. Open it. It was like talcum powder. It was so fine. I'm like, what the fuck? I've never seen a whey protein like this before. I throw it in the shaker bottle. I shake it up. It's all clumping up. It's not mixing up. And I'm like, what the hell? And this was Ultimate Nutrition actually made this product. And I'm looking at it going, what the fuck? I take it, taste it, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, something is not right here. So I start reading the can, and the can had like a metallic gray label with silver writing. Made it very difficult to read. But that front, you could read 100% protein isolate on the front very easily. So I'm reading it, and I look at it, and when I get down in like the fine print, they're talking about protein isolate, protein. They didn't even say anything about, but the source was pea protein isolate. They wrapped that label around that fucking can, knowing that it didn't say anything about vegan, vegetarian, none of that shit. They knew that that cheaper protein, because Gemma pea protein back in the day had a very similar amino acid profile to whey protein. But whey protein spiked price-wise. So a lot of people were like, hey, use the Gemma pea protein because it's very similar and it's a lot cheaper. Well, Ultimate decided they were going to wrap a label around a can, put protein isolate on it because they knew, I bet you they tested it too first before they put it on the market. Obviously, they do shit like that. They knew people would read that as whey protein isolate and not just protein isolate. Because we're looking for whey protein isolate, and that was the big seller nowadays. Why not put pea protein isolate right on the label? Why have to go in the back, and when you're reading it, the print's so small with the contrasting colors, it was very hard to read. Well, no surprise, Ultimate Nutrition is out of business today. They literally went out of business a few weeks ago. They made so many poor choices over the years, especially recently when they did a lot of dumb shit recently. They're out of business. It's because of shit like that. Like, how the fuck are you going to go and put something on the market that's so misleading? I mean, don't even give me this bullshit about it's a mistake or the consumer should know. You should know what to put on the front of your label. If I come out with a product that has garlic, it's, you know, for health, it says garlic on it. I'm not going to put something on the thing that doesn't say garlic, it says fucking mushroom on it. You know what I mean? So people buy it thinking it's a mushroom. I'm not going to come up with a different name. You put fucking garlic on it so people know what the fuck it is. Now, it's my fault for not reading that label fully in the store. 100% my fault. But when you get into that store, they're banking on the fact that you're looking for a cheaper protein, that you're not going to be paying attention, and even if you bought it and brought it back, they don't give a shit. They'll just write it off, right? That's what they do. They write it off, so they basically make their money back anyways. So I'm sitting there going, this was like a real eye-opener back in the day, and that's when I really started looking at the proteins. I talked to Steve Reeves about it, and found out that most of the proteins on the market right now, most, do not have what you think they have in it. They're not the high quality that you think they are, and they don't have to tell you the quality. They don't have to tell you the grade. They can just tell you whether it's isolate, they can tell you whether it's concentrate. Many companies now have combinations of isolate, concentrate, caseinate. I've seen soy thrown in there. I've seen different types of plant proteins like pea protein and stuff thrown in there. They're making blends to try to hide the fact that they're not using the whey protein isolate in this. So if they got a blend and you have 3 different types of protein, they would have this much isolate, this much, let's say the next most expensive one, and the cheapest one they fill up most of the scoop with. So your blend may have 25 grams of protein in it, but it's not that 25 grams of whey protein isolate you think you're getting. It's not 25 grams of the premium high-grade protein you think you're getting. It's about fucking 2 to 5 grams of that premium, and everything else is fucking garbage. Now, how do you know? Read the label. Go on the back of the protein powder and read the fucking labels, the ingredient labels. Not what's on the front, not the macros, the ingredient labels, and where they're spaced out. Whatever comes first on that label is what's most in the product. It goes from most to least. So if you're looking at it and it says casein and soy, then concentrate, then isolate, guess what? You're getting like this much fucking isolate in it. But you don't even realize it because they're marketing it as an isolate product or a blend product containing isolate. And you're sitting there going, what the fuck? Like, it sucks because a lot of people out there say, well, protein is just protein. Protein is protein, plain and simple. But we know that certain proteins digest better than others. We know that certain proteins mix better than others. Certain proteins taste better than others. So if you think you're getting one product and you're not getting the absorbability that you think you're getting, right? What the fuck? You're getting ripped off and you have no idea. And that's why half of these guys out there, and it kills me, they're eating 450 grams of protein. I'm like, why the fuck? You weigh 190 pounds. Why do you need 450 grams of protein? I could see maybe max going up to like 300 grams if you're an extremely hard gainer, but tacking on 150 grams on top of that max? How is that? Why is that even possible? This makes no fucking sense. Because what you're taking in, you're not getting the full amounts. You're not digesting and absorbing what you think you are. So you're taking more to get this amount that you really need. Now, don't get me wrong. The money is bad enough. Spending money on stuff that you're not absorbing and that is not working well or doesn't work at all is bad enough. But what about the fucking damage it does to your body? When you're trying to pull all that shit through your body and all the chemicals they put in, all the bullshit besides the whey protein isolate in it, you're making your body work harder. Of course it's not going to respond. So be aware, guys. Like, this is some bullshit that, like, you know, I don't know why nobody talks about it. Maybe because they don't give a shit. maybe because I don't look deep enough into it. I'm just a curious guy. I'm just like, why, how? And I do my research, and I ask people about things. I try to figure out what the fuck is going on. But bottom line is, guys, protein powders on the market are not all created equal. And it doesn't necessarily go by price. There are people charging premium prices with shitty product. There are people with great products charging a low price. It doesn't matter. You have to look at the back of those labels and go through the whole fucking thing. Add up your macros that's on the macro label. Add up the macros. Look at the size of the scoop gram-wise. Start to compare the macros, add it up compared to the scoop to see how much of that scoop is actually macros and how much is leftover shit that they're piling into it. And then look at the ingredients list first to last to see how much stuff is in there and how it adds up. Because if you don't do this, there's a good possibility you are going to get fucking ripped off. BioStrength@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BioStrength.com is the blog. It's the Don't Get Ripped Off bicep, and we are out.